ファイナルターン。リベンジレイジングフォームドラゴン。ドリンがブーストしたレイジングフォームドラゴンでアタック。まだ終わっていません。手札のリベンジレイジングフォームドラゴン、スペリオルペルソナライブ、そしてパワープラス1枚。
レイジングフォームドラゴンがスタン
アタック。
ドトリガーを引かなければ守りきれる。ノーガード。
まだ終わっていません。手札のリベンジレイジングフォームドラゴン、スペリオルペルソナライブ、アタック。
レイジングフォームドラゴンがスタン
まだ終わっていません。スペリオルペルソナライブ、アタック。スペリオルペルソナライブ、アタック。
Hello everyone, my name is Argentum, and today I would like to share with you my 5 Vanguard attack in a turn Raging Form deck profile. Now if you're only here for the deck list, you may take a screenshot of the deck list and you may leave now. If not, and if you would like to hear what I have to say, please continue watching this video. Just like in the intro clip, the game plan of this deck is very simple. You want to attack 3 to 5 times in a single turn with your Vanguard using Raging Form's effect. Hopefully with that 3 to 5 Vanguard attack, your opponent will lose, but if they don't, then we still have other backup game plans to win the game from there. Now that you have went through my deck list, I'm going to explain why I run certain cards at certain ratios and why I do not run certain cards. So let us begin with the Grade 3s. For Grade 3s, we are running 4 copies of Raging Form Dragon because he's the boss monster of this deck and the deck is built around him. So you might have seen the wombo combo on the internet where people say that, oh, with 5 counter blasts you can attack for 5 Vanguard swings, or 4 counter blasts you can attack with 4 Vanguard swings. You could do this with this deck, but this deck doesn't aim to do that because through playtesting, my friends usually keep me at 3 damage and they try to rush me to 6 damage from 3, so I will never get to proc his on-place effect, but it's okay because I run a certain Grade 2 in this deck that allows us to do 3 Vanguard attacks with just 1 counter blast. Our secondary Grade 3 is 2 copies of Danger Lunge Dragon. So why Danger Lunge Dragon? During our Raging Form turns, we will be stacking force markers on our Vanguard because we will be rewriting our Vanguard over and over again. If we cannot finish off our opponent during that turn, because 3 Vanguard attacks, sometimes we just do not check the criticals to end the game. So Danger Lunge Dragon capitalizes on that. So after our Raging Form turn, we can ride into our Danger Lunge Dragon and strike into Chain Ranker and hit them with a really high number that they cannot perfect guard. So they are forced to either drop G Guardians or lose a lot of hands trying to guard this 2 critical swing. So I think Danger Lunge Dragon is really good in this deck. Our final Grade 3 is 4 copies of Illusionary Revenger, Moderate Phantom. So this is probably the weakest card in the deck because he's just a Revenger that gives us a force marker. So all we want to do with him is just ride him with Raging Form's effect. I've tried running the Blaster Dark engine in this deck, but it did not work for me because it hurts the consistency of this deck, so I've opted to run full Revengers. Now before I talk about the Grade 2, let me talk about the Grade 1. For Grade 1s, I'm actually running a pure Revenger lineup, more or less pure, like most of the Grade 1s are Revengers. So for Grade 1 Revengers, we start with 4 copies of Renown, which is the new Grade 1. He's an amazing card because he puts pressure on your opponent. If his attack or the attack that he boosted hits, you can look at the top 3 cards of your deck and augur for a Revenger. So this is really good because it helps you dig for your Grade 2 Revengers or even your Grade 3 Revengers such as Raging Form Dragon. Now to get into our Raging Form more often, I'm also running 4 copies of Ivy. So Ivy is an old card. but she's really good in this deck because she's a Branwen, but she's repeatable. You could use her over and over and over again, and even if the effect whiffs, you can give a unit plus 2k, and that helps you hit magic numbers. Ivy doesn't require you to discard if you find a Raging Form, whereas Branwen will force you to discard if you find any grade 3s. Then I'm running one copy of Maul. Now this has never came out, but I just like that one copy as an insurance policy for me to dig out the additional Raging Form. You can cut this for the Trumpeter. Then I run 2 copies of Branwen because she's a grade 3 searcher, and Danger Lunge is not a Revenger, so you need a way to get him out, and Branwen helps with it. Also, she can help you dig for your Moderates and Raging Form, so she acts as an additional 2 copies of Ivy. I have no idea how to pronounce the name. My last 2 Revengers in the grade 1 slot is 2 Transient Revenger Masquerade. He's just here because he's a 10k shield and an 11k booster, and he's a Revenger. You can cut him for the Trumpeter if you want, but personally I like him because he helps us hit magic numbers, because our grade 2 lineup doesn't have nice attacking power. So with the grade 1 out of the way, I would like to talk about our grade 2s. Now let us start with the best grade 2 of our deck. 4 copies of Dark Blast Angel. So Dark Blast Angel is the card that allows you to get 3 Vanguard swings even though you're at 1 Counterblast. I find that she's the most important grade 2 since my friends love to damage deny me, so I'm running 4 copies of her. The second best grade 2 in the deck, Willy Revenger Mana. So Mana is generally really good because she helps you to build up a board, so you have fodder to be sacrificed to Raging Form, and if you get to 4 or 5 damage, Raging Form Superior Calling her will mean that you get an additional 2 units or 3 units if you are playing the Trumpeter to retire to Raging Form's effect. Our last 2 grade 2s is 1 copy of Tartu and 1 copy of Leafel. In my opinion, Tartu is a strictly worse mana in terms of Superior Calling. She's better than Mana in terms of pushing for magic numbers, but the issue is Mana returns the unit that she Superior Calls to the bottom of your deck, whereas Tartu will just straight up retire it. So like I said earlier, you want a certain amount of Revenger grade 1s in your deck, so Mana is certainly a better Tartu. But I'm still running that 1 copy of Tartu because I'm not comfortable with just running 4 manas and trying to build my board, so I'm still running 1 copy of Tartu. I'm running 1 copy of Leafel because he Superior Calls any grade 1 from your deck, so that means you can Superior Call your Renown or your Ivy and start digging for your Raging Form that way. Besides, Superior Calling Renown with Tartu hurts because at the end of the turn, the Renown is gonna die, and your opponent is gonna try their hardest to block that Renown from hitting. So using Leafel to call out the Renown and have the Renown on board for a few turns is certainly more useful than Tartu. But Leafel having the 1 Counterblast cost can affect your turn, especially if your opponent is keeping you at 1 damage. So I opted a 1-1 split for now, and it has been working pretty well for me. For grade 0s, we'll start out with 1 copy of the V Starter because he's a cantrip going first and a pot of Grid going second, so this is the best starter that we have right now. 1 copy of the Over Trigger because if we check it during our Raging Form multi-attack turn, we can really build up a hand because we'll be Superior Calling rear guards left and right, and that will help us get into more copies of Raging Form or even into our Danger Lunge Dragon. 3 copies of the Strike Crits just for us to strike into our Chain Ranker Dragon. 4 copies of the Revenger Critical because we want more Revengers in the deck so we can Superior Call it off Mana or Raging Form. And 4 copies of the Draw Perfect Guard because it's a Draw Perfect Guard. And finally, 4 copies of the Astral Chain Dragon, which is the Hill Sentinel from the newest set. With the main deck out of the way, I would like to talk about our G Zone. Honestly speaking, this deck isn't really Grade 4 reliant until the late game. But let us start with our most important Grade 4, which is 3 copies of Chain Ranker Dragon. So Chain Ranker allows us to copy our Grade 3's effect, and usually we'll use it with our Danger Lunge Dragon, so that we can force our opponent to guard with G Guardians or their hand cards. So he's really good. Our next important Grade 4 is 3 copies of Morfessa. Now some people might say, oh, you don't run enough grade 1s for Morfessa. Actually I do, because once I retire that amount for Raging Form's effect, I will have a lot of grade 1s in my drop zone, and Morfessa can easily proc. Now I'm running 1 copy of Spectral Duke Diablo, I don't remember his name. I'm running 1 copy of Spectral Diablo because he's a restander. This is an insurance if we cannot ride into our Danger Lunge. 2 copies of Phantom Blaster Diablo. Self-explanatory card is just to punish people who forget that this card exists. And our last Grade 4 is 2 copies of Drag Abyss Luat. So Drag Abyss Luat helps us search for our Grade 1s. Usually this usually doesn't come up, but you can use him to search out for your Grade 1s. It's very unlikely, but it can happen. For G Guardians, we'll start with the obvious. 2 Plot Makers, because he's just very free and very generic and easy 25k guard. And 1 Dark Veil. If we have 6 or more Grade 1s in our drop zone, Dark Veil is a strictly better Plot Maker at a negligible cost because Soul isn't an issue in this deck. And we are also running one Gelido because she just makes an easy 30 to 35k guard, and she helps you to draw, so she's pretty decent. And the last G Guardian is 1 copy of a Gleam. You can run Rectone because it's the same card, but my Rectone is in my Grand Blue deck, so I'm running a Gleam here. But honestly, this is also a flex slot that you can just switch it with any other G Guards or G units that you want. So I'm going to show you guys how to do the fabled 5 attack Raging Form combo. And for this combo, you need Raging Form Dragon on your Vanguard, Dark Blast Angel on your Rearguard circle, 4 Counterblasts, and you need 3 Raging Form in your hand and 1 Moderate Phantom. So what you're going to do is, first, you're going to attack with your Dark Blast Angel, and after that you're going to attack with your Raging Form. After you attack with your Raging Form, you're going to activate Raging Form's effect to retire 3 of your Rearguards. So you can Superior Ride another Raging Form Dragon from your hand. So go ahead and put your Force Marker on your Vanguard, and then activate Dark Blast's effect in your drop zone, and you Counterblast 1 to Superior Call a Grade 1 unit. So you're going to call a Grade 1 unit behind Raging Form. Then you're going to activate Raging Form's on place effect, Counterblast 1 to Superior Call Mana. Then Mana's effect, Superior Call Revenger behind her. Then after this, you are going to already have 1 Vanguard attack. I'm going to use this dice to represent the number of Vanguard attacks. So after this, you're going to attack with this side column. Then you're going to attack with your Vanguard. This is your 2nd Vanguard attack. So after you attack, same thing, retire 3 Rearguards to Superior Ride another Raging Form from your hand. So after you Superior Ride, put your Force Marker, then Counterblast 1 to Superior Call another mana in your deck. Superior Call another unit from mana. And then you're going to attack with this column. Then you're going to attack with this column. Then you're going to attack with Vanguard. This is your 3rd attack. After you attack with your Vanguard, you can proceed to retire all these units to superior right another raging form from your hand. But first, let us put a force marker. Then we counterblast 1 for raging forms on place, and we will superior core mana and another unit behind her. Then we will attack with mana first. Then finally, the 4th raging form attack. Once the attack is done, we're going to retire 3 units to superior right our moderate, and then we are going to get our force marker, which I'm going to put it on the side to set up for our danger lunge turn. You could also put it in the center, but it's up to you. So after we superior right our moderate, we're going to attack with our moderate for the 5th and final time. So this is the fabled 5 attack combo with raging form and moderate. But you don't get to pull off this combo every time because your opponent will try to deny you and keep you at 3 damage, so you do not get the superior core from raging forms on right. So I'm going to show you another combo which you can perform with only 1 counterblast and a Dark Blast Angel. Now I'm going to show you the more practical combo. Knowing your deck, your opponent will definitely keep you at 3 damage or less to stop you from swinging with your Vanguard 5 times. So this is the combo that I usually do. First, you need a full board of Revengers, one of them being a Dark Blast Angel, and you will need 1 Raging Form Dragon as your Vanguard and 1 Counterblast. And as for your hand, you need to have another Raging Form and another Revenger. It can be a Raging Form or it can be a Moderate Phantom, it doesn't matter. So, I'm going to show you this combo. It's really simple. First, you're going to attack with Dark Blast Angel, then you're going to attack with your Vanguard for the first attack. So after you attack, you're going to activate your Vanguard still, retire 3 units, and then you're going to superior right another Raging Form from your hand. So you can put a force marker over here. Then you activate Dark Blast effect, Counterblast 1, to superior core a Grade 1 to your rearguard circle. So now you're going to attack with this side first, then you're going to attack with this side, and finally your Vanguard swing. And then after your Vanguard swing, you're going to retire all of your rearguards to superior right your other Revenger. So put a force marker, and this is your 3rd attack. So this is the more practical combo that you will use more often, because most of the time your opponent is not going to push you to 4 damage. Okay, now let us talk about the most important part of this video. What other potential cards that you can put in your Raging Form deck to suit your own personal playstyle? Now let us begin with the biggest elephant in the room, or should I say the biggest waifu in the room, Skull Witch Nemain. She's the best card that Shadow Paladin has, and if you do not agree with me, well, you are wrong. But why did I not run Skull Witch Nemain in this deck? Because this deck requires me to retire Revengers, and Skull Witch Nemain is not a Revenger. Although Skull Witch Nemain is not a Revenger, there are a few good reasons why you want to run her. First, you will have access to the Superior Right engine, which needs no introduction. And with the Superior Right engine, it's possible for us to get to our Raging Form and perform the 3 attack combo while our opponent is still on Grade 2. Additionally, Nemain helps us filter our decks, meaning that our Renal, our Brandwens, and our Ive proc more often. And filtering also helps us in checking critical triggers, so she's a possible inclusion if you would like to use her for these functions. Another card that you can consider is suggested in Commander Jaime's Raging Form Dragon combo video, which is White Gore Dragon. Now, if you do not know who Commander Jaime is, please go and subscribe in the description. He's a pro player that makes amazing content. Now, White Gore can be considered in this deck for a very simple reason. He is a massive beater. Because you'll be activating Raging Form's effect for between 2 to 4 times in a turn, you will retire a total of 6 to 12 rearguards, which will give White Gore Dragon a plus of between 18 to 36,000, making him a massive beater to put all your triggers on to push for the last few points of damage. The reason why I'm not running White Gore Dragon in this deck is very simple, because I just didn't think about it. But if I can get my hands on a few copies of this card, I would definitely play it in my Raging Form deck, replacing the Masquerades just to test it out, because he seems like a very amazing beater. And if you want a beater in your deck, you should consider White Gore Dragon too. If you are concerned that 4 copies of Mana and 4 copies of Dark Blessed Angel isn't enough, you can consider running the Revenger Trumpeter as additional copies of these 2 cards. However, although the Trumpeter is an extender, I do not run her because I do not want to call my Revenger criticals out from my deck. Also, she'll cost 1 counterblast to activate, and this might affect the Raging Form kill turn. However, if you would need an extender and you don't mind the additional counterblast, you can consider running her. If your playgroup isn't damage deny focus, or if you just simply can't find Moderate Phantom, or you just do not like using Ivy and Branwen to search out your Raging Form, if so, Slay Hex Dragon might just be the card for you. However, I do not run this card for several reasons. The first 2 reasons are pretty self-explanatory. Slay Hex is an 11k without a force marker, and we need a counterblast to get the Raging Form out from the deck, and you know my friends, they love to damage deny me. However, there are some merits to running this card. The first merit is that it's way cheaper than Moderate Phantom, and the second merit is if you would like to run Raging Rap in your deck, Slay Hexes acts as additional copies of Abyss Dragon to be discarded for Raging Rap's effect. So if you are on a tight budget or you just want to run Raging Rap in your deck, do consider running a few copies of Slay Hexes Dragon. Let me save the most controversial opinion for last. With the release of the V Raging Form, Raging Rap is a terrible card. There is no point for you to superior strike using Raging Rap when you could just superior ride using Raging Form to get additional force markers. Another issue with Raging Rap is that it requires you to pay Counter Blast and Soul Blast just to superior strike. However, if you would like to run this card either because you like the artwork or it's due to a sense of nostalgia, I do highly suggest running Slay Hexes alongside your Raging Form Dragons, and definitely running the Grade 3 Heal Guardians, since those are Abyss Dragon that can be discarded for Raging Rap's cost. You can also run Finnegas, and since Mana and Tartu can search out Finnegas easily, the limit break 4 condition will be negated and you could just activate his skill anytime. But if you like the card, just go for it and try it out, and let me know in the comments how it went for you. We have finally reached the final section of this deck profile and discussion. So in this final section, I'll talk about my final thoughts and the pros and cons regarding this deck. I will start with the pros of this deck. The primary strength of this deck is that it is able to attack up to 5 times in a single turn with just the Vanguard. And from this multiple Vanguard attacks, we are able to harvest and farm a massive hand size. Additionally, this deck is also able to filter rather well with cards like Branwen, Ivy, and more. Additionally, during our combo turns where we are trying to attack multiple times with Raging Form Dragon, superior calling Mana and using Dark Blessed Angel's effect helps us to superior call more Grade 1s and filter our deck even further. This helps us check our triggers more often during our combo turns. However, this deck also has some issues. The main issue of this deck is pricing. Luat is still the best Shadow Paladin deck, but this deck actually costs more than Luat. Although Shadow Paladin is not a competitive pick in Premium, if you want a more competitively viable Shadow Paladin deck, Luat makes a better choice and it makes more bang for your buck. Another issue is that this deck requires Revengers. Raging Form only retires Revengers, and I've explained earlier that the main clogging the board can be an issue. So this means that we have no access to the superior right engine and the main 5k toolbox engine with the draw engines like Abyssal Owl and Fallen Dive Eagle for defense. This deck lacks flexibility due to this, and we are also forced to play all Revenger cards with only 5k shield, and this can hurt the defense of the deck. As a conclusion, I feel in terms of price and power level, Luat is still a far superior deck. However, if you want to unleash your inner whip and be like Ren, and you want to attack 5 times with Raging Form Dragon and have fun, and if you have the money, I certainly think that this deck should be placed under consideration. My final rating out of 10 for this deck is 4 Nemains out of 10. Thank you for watching, take care and stay safe.